Hello, hello, and welcome to the show. You are now tuned into a brand spanking new Monday Night Live. That's right, aka the Hangout Stream, aka the Chill Stream, baby. All fired up and having some fun for December 5th, 2022, and brought to you by yours truly, the man, broadcasting from behind the curtain. You know who I am. Because if you don't know by now, you can visit www.livefreeliverich.com. Or there's another option. Simply Google this name and you can find out. Who's in the house tonight? Hey now, Skogley. What's going on, brother? I've been listening to your jams, man. I'm gonna go through your slowly but surely. I will go through your entire playlist of original jams. I'm digging it. You like that? Thanks. I can't take credit for the music though. It's royalty-free music. Hey, hi Sam. All right, so before we get in, who else is here? Prison Mike is also here. Very nice. Prison Mike. All right. So before I get into, let me just give a little briefing of what's going on tonight. Tonight, I'm glad that you're here, by the way. If you can make it through the entire stream, we will be getting, well, we'll talk about it. Tonight, we have a booktuber, authortuber, storytelling double feature, if you will. First, I'll be reading some serialized fiction written by none other than R. St. Clair. And then that will be followed up by an original short story that comes courtesy of Samantha Harris from her YouTube channel, Greener Side of Sam. I do have a special event that I need to announce. And as usual, I will be taking the time to address some of your comments that I've been receiving over the week. And we have a hot topic to discuss, as well as an award-winning self-published author. You heard me right. An award-winning self-published author chimes in on one of our ongoing conversations. That's right. But first things first, I like to slide right inside my first segment of the night, where I like to shine a spotlight on some books that are currently available or coming soon to an online store near you. Yes, it's true. Let's see. First up tonight, we have from Twitter. Now, mind you, these books are books that are suggested to me directly by the publishers themselves, whether they be self-published or they come from an indie label or a small press company. This one coming from Michael Cook, looks like we have here. He just shares his link. Train Your Brain. Let's see, this is his book, Passamaquoddy Legends Puzzle Book, Volume 2 by Michael Cook. Let's take a look. Poet didn't even know it. So this is, I don't know if you guys are aware, I was not aware up until about a week ago when I heard it on Dale Roberts' channel. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Dale Roberts. He runs a YouTube channel, the Authortube side of YouTube, where he talks about the kind of gets into the nitty gritty of the business side of like Kindle Direct publishing and things like that. And apparently low content, there's such a thing as low content books that you can publish on KDP, which I was not aware of up until about a week ago, like I said. And he was talking about that. But apparently there is an entire set, like a separate set of like guidelines, strict guidelines that you have to follow if you're going to publish what is considered low content. And puzzle books actually fall into that category, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see this here. All right, so that's the cover here. Let me see what's going on with the blurb, or the item description, I should say. Hours of fun and intellectual stimulation. First off, let me just read this title. This is the actual title that is on Amazon. It says Passamaquoddy. Don't even know if I'm pronouncing that properly, but you get the gist. Passamaquoddy Legends Puzzle Book, Volume 2. Crosswords, cryptograms, fill in the blanks, mazes, Sudoku, word searches, and more. Here's the item description. Hours of fun and intellectual stimulation. Train your mind with the Passamaquoddy Legends Puzzle Book, Volume 2, Locks the Mischief Maker. Learn about Native American culture and have fun with a variety of puzzles. Over 100 Native American inspired puzzles. Great way to relieve stress and relaxation. Relieve stress and relax. Perfect for road trips, flying on planes, and in waiting rooms. Word searches, fill in the blanks, cryptograms, crosswords, Sudoku, mazes, and more. Solutions at the end of the book. Large print. It goes on to say the Passamaquoddy Legends Puzzle Book series directly corresponds to each chapter in the Passamaquoddy Legends, the annotated edition. However, the reader can ascertain the answers by contextual clues or information gathered from other puzzles. This will provide hours of intellectual stimulation, while allowing a rare opportunity to learn about the Passamaquoddy language and Native American legends. Apparently that is a book. So it says from the author. So Michael W. Cook is the author of the Passamaquoddy Legends. So it's his book. And he also creates these puzzle books. So that's interesting. So kind of like a little these low content books, kind of like a offshoot of like a book series or a book or a novel that he's also put in. Let me click on his author page and just see if that's what he's talking about here. Yeah, that is a book that he's published. He also has a couple other books that he's published as well. I believe these are, looks like perhaps nonfiction. He does have one that is poems and prose. So interesting. But yeah, let me just get that off screen for a minute here. What's that? You do KDP, low content for fun. You make journals. Yes, so that's what I was gonna say. So I've heard of that. You can make like journals, things. You make journals. It had to be the low content box. So yeah, so like writers, I kind of like an offshoot item. So I was trying to like think of like how, like, because like I said, I haven't heard of that up until about a week ago, and then I was like, low content books, like people buy that stuff. So it's just like another idea, I guess, like another type of item. I suppose it would probably be best, like say if you have like some sort of branding or something like that. If you have branding, I could see do like Some other ideas are like if you do like planners, you could do like actual like notebook planners or something like that, and like have like, you know, have your own. They got to have like, they have to have like unique designs and stuff like that in order for them to be eligible to be published. Yeah, something new, something different. Let's move right along here. We have now this comes from an indie publisher. I was taking a look at their website. They do actually sell books directly through their website, so you can get like print books, or you can get print books, or you can get the ebooks. Let's see. Oops, on that one. So this comes from Facebook. This comes from the actual owner of the website. So Melvise Johnson, she says, Finding Home by Kevin Mullin is a YA fiction novel about a young girl's heartwarming and bittersweet journey. It's packed with mysterious people, a creepy farmhand, family secrets, and dangerous encounters. You can read an excerpt on the website. Let's check it out. This is Finding Home by Kevin Mullin. All right. Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing some more shout outs. Like if you have your own website and say you sell ebooks through your own website, I'm A-okay with that. I know different websites. I use Weebly for my website for as my host. And I know that they just basically they run Squarespace now. So if I wanted to like sell, if I wanted to sell like downloads, or if I want to do like downloads, or if I wanted to do like sell books directly through my website, I could. But as of right now, I don't. I basically just use my website as like more of a catalog, a hub for cataloging all my work, or my published work. All right, there's the cover. Let's check out the blurb. Where are we at here? All right, Finding Home by Kevin Mullin. Amy Collins is a 10-year-old girl whose story is filled with laughter and tears. In 1930, her father died in New York City. Her new stepfamily was vicious and hostile toward her. An incident caused her mother to send her off to live with unfamiliar relatives in Fawcett, Louisiana, where her whole world changed. She had a problem making friends because she was an outsider and the locals treated her with indifference. She had to navigate through an unfriendly environment to make a place for herself. She met and tried to understand the unique citizens of Fawcett. Their ways, feuds, and customs confused her, but she doggedly attempted to fit in and become a newly minted country girl. In the process, the town went through some monumental changes of its own. Amy's heartwarming and bittersweet journey is packed with mysterious people, a creepy farmhand, family secrets, and dangerous encounters. Follow Amy's adventures as she goes about finding home. Yeah, it looks like 516 pages on this one. Doesn't necessarily, it doesn't look, well, it just says young adult fiction. It's a young adult. That seems long for young adult. 500 pages. little bit on the longer end there. All right, a couple more books here. Another one from Facebook. We have Aisha Urooj, and this is her book, Queen of Frost and Ice. Ice, ice, baby. If you guys have a book that is currently on the market or coming soon, it could be in pre-order even, you can go ahead and get in contact with me on any of my social media, or just go ahead and join the Discord link in the description down below. And I have all kinds of channels set up for various things that you guys can share with me and contribute to the show. All right. The Queen of Frost and Ice. Short blurb on this one. Our world is dying. Oh, yeah. So let's see. This is Queen of Frost and Ice. This is a fantasy romance. It says book 3. However, I am under the impression that each one of the books in this series is kind of a standalone. You'll see in a second here. Our world is dying. The great war threatens to kill us all. Caught in the power games of the mad Fire King and the spiteful Ice Queen, I must do everything to protect my little sister. A dystopian Snow Queen inspired fantasy novel. Snow Queen. I wonder if that's so. Is that like so kind of like Frozen? Yeah, kind of like that, because I do see book 2 in this series. It says the title is Sleeping Beauty No More, and then book 1 is The Stone Mermaid. So looks like kind of like a reimagining, if you will, of classic fairy tales. That's what I'm kind of getting from that. All right, one more book here. Let's see what we got. Who we have? Another one from Facebook, mind you. It's very rare to get something from Facebook, but managed to get a few. Let's see. From also the same publisher, says, My Journey Back to Heaven, Gabriel's Story, is a spiritual fantasy by C.L. Rugg. Archangel Gabriel never had a chance at life outside of heaven. He returned to Earth to live as a human, where he navigated through life and difficulties with romance. There's another one, another published work from writtenwordspublishing.com. So let's check it out. This is My Journey Back to Heaven, Gabriel's Story. Some spiritual fiction. What are you talking about? You were just talking about that earlier this morning, or last night, rather, Sam, weren't you? You're working on something to do with the Book of Enoch? All right. All right, there's the cover. Here is the blurb. Bit of a long one. So 3 books in one, says on this one. So becoming aware, finding love, accepting fate. We first meet Archangel Gabriel with his personal accomplishments behind him, proclaimed the left hand and will of Yahweh, and with the love and respect of his fellow angels, he has become the most powerful angel in heaven. During his past 5,000 years of afterlife, he believed that he had everything he could want, but something was missing. He needed and wanted more. Originally a stillborn human soul, Gabriel never had a chance at life outside of heaven. Something happened that made him desire what he lost. It was Yahweh's encouragement and plan for him to return to earth and live as a human. However, returning would not be simple. Being the first of his kind to do so, he retained his angelic powers but lacked the memory of his past. Thusly, he was forced to learn how to survive his dual nature and obligated to recall his forgotten life with the assistance of his guardian angel allies. But it was Yahweh who orchestrated the situation by keeping Gabriel from knowing his fate and future destiny. Many adventures befall our hero as he navigates through childhood, adolescence, adulthood, and difficulties with romance. When Gabriel was forced to persevere over earthly and unearthly villains, his lessons become more profound. With the help from his heavenly company, his fated timeline took him through progressively greater challenges. Gabriel's weapons go beyond his charms and magical powers, which must include his knowledge, wisdom, and resolve. This illustrates legendary figure. This illustrious legendary figure is the nice guy who will finish first, ultimately finding personal fulfillment and becoming more than he could ever imagine. So we have 3 books in one, a total of 508 pages on this one. A bit of spiritual fiction. So quite, I have to say, quite an eclectic mix tonight, I have to say. Quite an eclectic mix. So be sure, if you guys tune in, you follow the channel, if you're subscribed, you'll see tomorrow I will be posting on my community tab section. You guys can vote for which one out of those 4 books you thought had the most text appeal. So in other words, which one out of those 4 books would you be most likely to pick up? Yes. And also, if you would like to discover more from the independent market, then you can always head over to my shorts tab or check out the playlists and open up some mystery packs. Mystery packs. In each mystery pack, you will discover a cover card which shows a cover of an independently published book that has been recognized by the LFLR network, and also includes a link to one editorial written by yours truly on that particular piece of work. So a couple of different ways. That's what I'm trying to do with this channel as I continue to kind of develop this channel and see what kind of direction, I want to really take this. And, this is all very experimental. So what I've noticed is that what I understand about the independent market is it's kind of all hands on deck when it comes to marketing and advertising. And it's not so much like how the mainstream has like all this money to throw at advertising and this and that, whereas the indie scene is more of a community-based activity, if you will, all in it and of itself. The whole market is more of an engaged type of way of discovering what's out there. So let's get into, speaking of engagement, let's get into the next segment here. It's a short segment. Or as needed segment, where it is, I call Your Comments Matter. That's right. So contrary to popular belief among some circles in YouTube, the comment section is not there to satisfy AI algorithms as much as it is there to give us creators an opportunity to engage with the people who give our videos the time of day. So let me get into it and see what people have to say. Okay. Let me see here what's going on. All right, that looks good. So first one is coming from, this first one comes from The Right Mindset. This is actually Thomas J. Beleza. He has a YouTube channel on the kind of the Authortube realm of YouTube. And this is a comment he left from last week's live stream. Just says, talks about the show begins with heavy metal. I was invested instantly. A little rock on there. What a lovely shout out, and I appreciate that, good sir. The Macho Man impression, spot on. Ooh, yeah. The cream of the crop. Yeah. He goes on to say, I have to get you on an interview, talk about representation in fiction. Yes, he was, I think that's in regard to the hot topic that I pitched last week. More on that in a second. Says maybe even get you on with other authors, have a nice debate on it. In fact, Thomas, I would encourage you, if you have, so basically what I do with hot topics, for people who are not familiar, the hot topic is where a segment of the show, which I will be getting to next. Well, I'll talk about it when I get to it, but yeah. If you have an argument that you would like to bring up as far as that representation in fiction, basically it's just, there are different, the way that I pitch it is that like there are different angles from which you could approach the topic. So the way, and it's kind of like an ode to old school YouTube. So I pitched hot topics on my YouTube channel as part of the segment of the show, as kind of an ode to old school YouTube, kind of inspire other content creators to like maybe create a video on the subject matter itself. And if you tag me in the video, then I may be inclined to feature your video in a future live stream and respond to your video live on the air. Or else you're always welcome to share your thoughts and opinions in the comment section, whether it be on this live stream, or you can check back on the playlist. I do clip out all the hot topics and each part, because it's not so much a series as it's more or less each one is like a thread of the conversation. So it's kind of like we're embroidering the topic, because like I say, these topics can be covered from all different types of angles. So if you want to pose an argument, if you have an argument to pose on the subject, like depending on how you're approaching the topic, you're more than welcome to do so. And I am not afraid to state my position if you present an argument to me. And you may find that we might be in agreement on something, so there wouldn't be a need for debate, but I am open to the idea. So now the next one comes from Ian Kirkpatrick, and this is our hot topic. Speaking of which, let me just remove this for a second here. Hot topic. Let's get into our next segment here, called Hot Topic for Content Creators. Yes, hot topic For content creators, this is where I pitch a hot topic to you guys, and then you guys, in turn, if you feel so inclined or inspired to, you upload a video, you create a video, and you upload it on your YouTube channel. And then if you tag me in your video or share the link to the video, then I would be inclined to feature your video on a future live stream and respond to what you have to say live on the air. Or else you're welcome to revisit any of the past topics and share your thoughts and opinions in the comments section. Kind of like an ode to old school YouTube, because in the comment section, I notice you can leave lengthier comments. You can leave effectively what would be like a blog post. So the reason why I do this is it gives people time to kind of marinate on the subject matter and really think deeply about the topic at hand and decide how you would like to approach the topic. If there's anything, any subjects pertaining to the topic that you would like to cover specifically. And then it gives you enough time to kind of like lay out your talking points in a comprehensive and cohesive type of manner, and give you the space, the breathing time, if you will, to kind of get all your thoughts out. And then I can in turn respond to what it is that you have to say. And tonight, we revisit an ongoing topic, and that is trad pub, traditional publishing, obsolete? That is the question that I posed to you guys in one of the ongoing hot topic threads. And we have tonight a comment from an award-winning self-published author. That's right. She chimes in on the conversation. This is Ian Kirkpatrick from her channel, Kirk Patty Cake. That's her moniker on YouTube. Let me just see what we have here. How's that look? All right. So let's go through this comment piece by piece, shall we? She says, when it comes to the money aspect of trad pub, let me just make sure that it looks good. It's looking good. All right. All right. When it comes to the money aspect of trad pub, I don't know how many think they're going to get rich from their first book, and I'm sure there are many, versus those who want the publisher to do all the logistical stuff, like distribution, ESP to libraries and bookstores. ESP, not 100% sure what you mean by that. Basically just getting your books into libraries and bookstores, but the ESP, is that like getting your books in there through telekinesis? I am sending my books now. Don't rush me, people. I'm only working with so much RAM here. And to cover the cost for editors and cover artists, which, sure, I could see the point that you're making there. If you want like quality editing services, I mean, you could get editing services. I'm sure you could get editing services if you were to dig. If you were to do your research and dig, I'm sure you could probably find an editor who's hungry, and you could probably get some quality editing work done fairly inexpensively. Cover artist may be a little bit more on the pricier side. However, there's always Fiverr, and you'd be surprised at some of the quality of work that you can get out of Fiverr. I did cover an artist who has services on Fiverr just the other week, and the book covers weren't bad. I have to say, they weren't bad. Some of them were better than others, but for the price, and it was, if I remember correctly, it was like around $150 or something like that. For the price, not bad. It didn't seem bad. She goes on to say, I know plenty of people who chose a vanity press style thing because they were fine with indie/self-pubbing. but didn't want to have to deal with ISBN, covers, editing, etc. And many indies don't have the money to front the cost or the options available for printing, such as gold pages, like gilded pages, as traditional publishers will offer. Yeah, and vanity press. I know a lot of people like to shit on the idea of vanity press. Who's tuning in? Barry, what's going on, brother? Nice to see you. Yeah, I know that there's a lot of people who will like shit on the idea of using a vanity press. So basically, vanity press is like, it's more of like an independent publishing service more than it is an actual publishing house. So what I mean by that is like it comes in all different forms. So those are the ones that like you as the author, you would pay them to publish your book. But it's the services that they offer. So vanity press, like there are scams out there where like they say a vanity press scam is like you're going to pay a bunch of money up front. So say it's like anywhere, it could be like upwards to like $1,000, whatever it may cost. And in principle, what it's supposed to do is that's supposed to cover the cost of what it's going to cost them to do these, to provide you with these types of services and handle all these things that Ian is saying that, some authors may not have who want to take the self-publishing route, don't have the time to handle themselves. So for instance, dealing with ISBNs, getting your covers done up, doing the editing work on your book or on your manuscript. These are all services that a vanity press may offer you. And then as well as like custom printing as well, like say with the gold pages, special hardback editions, things of that nature. And those are all things that come at the cost of the company itself, which is why they would have you kind of, all the deals are different. It's a case-by-case basis as far as that goes. It's kind of the Wild West as far as that goes, which is why you really have to pay attention to the types of contracts and agreements that you're signing to if you decide to go with like a small press company or an indie label, and understand what you're getting yourself into. And I've mentioned that before. So it's not just trad publishing. You want to pay attention to the contracts and be able to negotiate. And always remember, if there's a contract involved, there's always room for negotiation. Everything is negotiable. Always go from the mindset that everything, absolutely everything, is on the table for negotiation. Nothing is set in stone until you sign upon the dotted line. So just keep that in mind. Oh, yeah. Negotiation's a must. So she goes on to say, let me see. We got the. All right. She goes on to say here, I think as TradPub focuses more on these quote unquote sure things and rushing out garbage because of a loud fan base on social media, a little bit of a hot take there from you, Ian, I have to say. More on that in a second. People will look for more alternatives. So yes, so fan base. Oh man, here we go. So this is in regard to how much of a following you have on social media. I told you social media is kind of a double-edged sword. It's a blessing. It's kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time, depending on how you use it and how it is in turn used against you. So, oh man, we could go off on a whole other tangent as far as that goes, how it is used against you. But that's probably a topic for a whole nother for another time. But in terms of publishing, Yeah. So more and more, the word is getting through the grapevine is that traditional publishers are looking at people's social media followings and taking that into account as to whether or not they want to take on their project and sign them on. Hey, Herman's here. What's up, Herman? But yeah, so social media following. So there's, I think that there's a little bit of controversy wrapped up in that because I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but people can just buy followers if they want to. So social media following is not really a good indicator of popularity. It really isn't a good, an accurate metric for popularity, which is why you'll always hear me saying, or quite often hear me saying, like, I really couldn't care less about the numbers. It's not the numbers that I care about. Like, yeah, like if the channel gets subscribers, then apparently that helps this thing called the algorithm. If I have more subscribers on the channel, but personally, I couldn't care less about the amount of subscribers that I have, which is why you'll never hear me saying, you know, doing the whole like, hey, hit like and subscribe and all this. Like, yeah, if you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. It's no skin off my back. But what I care about first and foremost is engagement, because I'll tell you this right now, even from a business standpoint, like, which it ties into this topic, like if you have, say you only have like, you know, 100 followers, right? Or 100 subscribers on YouTube. But if you have 50 out of those 100 subscribers tuning into your live streams on a regular basis, that trumps someone who may have, you know, a couple thousand, 5,000, 10,000 subscribers, you know, that only have, that may have like a fraction of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I look at it as like engagement. Like, I'd rather give me 100 to 200 people that are proactive in the scene. Proactive, meaning they're tuning in daily, they're logging in daily online, and they're not just sitting on their hands. They're working that keyboard. They're getting engaged in the scene. They have their own blogs. They have their own websites. They're reading books. They're not just, they're actually reading books, reviewing books. They may be writers themselves, and they're not, it's not just always shameless self-promotion as much as they're actually getting engaged in interacting with their peers within the community. And this is the type of stuff that I'm about. That's what I would really like to see more of. And I think that that is where we're ultimately where we're heading in the future, as the stigma behind being self-pubbed and being indie kind of goes the way of the dinosaur. And people, you know, it's going to take that, you know, I'm not going to say like you want to be genuine with it. Like, you don't just want to feel like you're blowing smoke up people's asses either. You want to be genuine with it, but at the same time, as more people, it's just a matter of like, I feel like if you, it's like if you see other people doing something that you've thought about doing yourself, it kind of builds up that confidence. It encourages people to kind of come out of their shell a little bit and start getting involved in the community. And that's where I like to see it. That's what gets me hyped. And you guys know me, I'm always on the lookout for more people who are getting involved in, say, the Booktube, Authortube realm of YouTube. Let me finish up what Ian has to say here, and then I'll get to some of what you guys are saying in the chat. She goes on. So yeah, as far as the loud fan base on social media, people will look for more alternatives. I think the biggest issues indie has right now are the massive spectrum of quality, since there's no quality control. And then just people knowing they exist. Publishers have the money to put your books in library catalogs and trade shows. Generally, individuals do not. Yeah. And personally, like just as like an aside, if, as my own personal take on that, like I don't really care to have my work in libraries, to be honest with you. Like I'd rather just like if people want to find my work, they know where to find my work. I personally want the engagement. I want the traffic. So screw going to the library, go to my website, go to my Amazon. If you want my premium, if you want some free stuff, you can go to my website. If you want my premium stuff, you can hit my Amazon. And that's where you can find my work. And like I've said before, I don't write for money, but I value my work. There's a difference. I want to make sure, because I was like, when I was going through and clipping out the hot topic for this previous upload, I remember saying something about that, and I was like, I should have been a little bit more specific there. Don't get it twisted. I value my work. So when I do premium work, I value my work. So there's a price tag attached to that work. And I don't do deals. I don't do freebies. People have their own principles as far as that goes. And I've kind of, my mindset on that has kind of changed a little bit. I am more accepting of the idea of like self-published and indie authors like doing arcs. And in fact, I might actually do something like that in the future. However, that might be a topic for discussion at a later time as well, because there are people out there that will take advantage of the idea of receiving ARCs or advanced reader copies of books. So more on that at on another time, perhaps. But yeah, in terms of a marketing approach, yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. So long as it's an agreed upon thing. What I've seen is that there are people who will just blindly just send booktubers books. And I'm like, well, for one, you're not doing yourself any favors as far as that goes. And you're not doing the independent market any favors as far as that goes, in terms of my opinion, as far as that goes. But if it's agreed upon thing, sure. But anyways, just my opinions here, shouting them out. You guys are obviously free to share what's on your mind. Damn, what was I going to say? Oh, the quality control. All right. So quality control, this is the biggest point in your comment right here that I wanted to address. Kind of the elephant in the room, if you will, when it comes to indie publishing or self-pub. And that's quality control. And really, it comes down to the individual. And that, I think that's the biggest thing. That is the biggest thing that holds perhaps a lot of the consumer base or people from getting involved in the independent market, because they might feel as though they're gambling with their money when it comes to purchasing books off the independent market. And I can't really blame them to a certain degree, which is why it's going to take people like myself and other people who run channels or and are proactive in the indie scene to be kind of like continue to have conversations about independent books, talking about them, doing book recommendations, doing book reviews, doing critiques and things of this nature. So it's kind of there's value to be had there in creating that kind of content. It's not, it's not nonsense at all. You're creating valuable content for the market when you get out there and you do critiques on indie works. You're talking about different labels. And also with indie labels, I say there's different ways to get involved in the independent market. So you can self-pub, which is what Ian has done. And in fact, I would go as far as to say that Ian is probably one of the most successful self-published authors that I know personally or have collaborated with before. So she is a good example of that. And also, in other words, that there are people out there that can do it. In other words, what I'm saying is she is an example of an individual that proves that you can do it on your own. It is possible. The tools are out there. The resources are available out there. So it's just a matter of doing your research, finding the tools and the resources and putting them to work, and so that you can put together a quality project, a quality product, excuse me. And because remember, your name is attached to that. Now, mind you, there's a little bit of leeway. Like me personally, I provide a little bit of leeway when it comes to indie works, especially for like ebooks, because with ebooks, even with print books especially, though, you want to make sure the quality is top notch before you publish that for public purchase, because once a paperback is purchased, you can't get that paperback back. But an ebook, however, you can update an ebook. So like if errors happen, that's why I say it's like it's more of getting engaged in there. So in the market. So like if you have errors in your ebook, for instance, like whether they be small, like spelling errors or little grammatical issues or something like that, and it wasn't caught through the editing process and then it went and got published. Even your formatting, if you want to switch up, if you want to update your formatting on your ebook, trust me, I've done it multiple times of some of my short stories. You can actually update the formatting on your ebooks at any time. So yeah, so there's that. So quality control, yes, definitely with paperbacks are less forgiving than if you are to self-pub or independently publish ebooks. So thank you, Ian, for offering your 2 cents on that topic. And let's see what's going on. Let's see what you guys got going on in the chat here. We got Herman stopping by. Herman. Hi, Herman. What's Barry saying here? KDP pays authors peanuts, he says. A friend of mine has published 2 books, self-pubbed. Really? Well, the thing is, you can set your price, though. That's the thing. So you can set the price of your books on KDP. And you're talking in terms of royalties. The royalties are laid out. It is pretty clear. Like when you set the price of your book, when you publish on KDP, the royalties are made clear to you before you hit publish. So you know exactly what you're going to make on each individual purchase in terms of royalties. Sam, what's Sam saying? Yeah, I don't go live a lot, but when I do, it's a party. Yeah, Prison Mike. Barry says, part of being an author requires faith in one's work, definitely. But when you see, like I say, when you see other people doing, I feel like it's community-based in the sense, when you write, it is a very personal thing. You could write your book. You could hire a ghostwriter if you wanted to. And then at that point, it's a team activity. You could do a collaborative work. So in other words, you could work on an anthology. You could have a piece that's included in an anthology that has multiple authors. So all you really have to worry about is your one piece of flash fiction that may be featured in that work. Or you could do like a co-authored novel. So like you and another author go in and write a novel. I've seen people do it that way as well. But for the most part, yeah, writing is a solo activity. But what I was saying, as far as the indie scene being a community-based thing, is that it's encouraging to see other people. Like you're not waiting. In other words, you're a trailblazer. That, as far as I'm concerned, if you're involved in the indie scene, you're a trailblazer. You are a pick yourself up by your own bootstraps type of individual. You're ready to just get right down to business and get the work done and put it out there. You don't wait for anyone to give you permission. You're not waiting for anybody to provide you with a pat on the back. a validation or validate your work or grade your work or say, yep, this is ready for publishing. No, you are just getting down to business and you're doing it. That's to me, that's what the indie scene is all about. It's about freedom to just get down to business and be creative, and no one telling you how you need to do it. And you need to follow these set of rules or instructions or anything like that. So long as you're within compliance of distributor guidelines, for instance, like KDP or Barnes and Noble or anything like that. Yes, he exists. All right, and that is the hot topic. This conversation continues, ladies and gentlemen. If you'd like to come at this from any other angle, I have talked about some articles in the past. If any other articles, like through the mainstream, as far as pertaining to this topic, comes through, but you can come at this topic from a variety of angles, whether you want to talk economically, from business standpoint, through the rise of the indie market angle, anything like that. You can leave your comments down below on this video or check out any of the previously pitched hot topics on my playlist. All right, let's get into some announcements here. Closing in on the first hour. We still have quite a bit to cover here. Let me get this set up. How are you guys this week? You want to let me know if you got anything you're working on? Feel free to share in the chat. All right, so with announcements, this is like, if you guys have anything that you'd like me to announce, like say if you have like a book club, if you run like a book club, you have like a Facebook group or something like that, and you would like to share that, I'd be more than happy to share that with people. In fact, you might even get my attention. Or if you have like a Kickstarter event or an Indiegogo campaign, something like that. I know that's very popular on the comic books corner of YouTube. I follow a lot of those people over there. I'm not involved in comic books myself, at least not yet. But I definitely find it interesting, and I have covered some of those campaigns before. Let's see. So as far as announcements goes, we do have some special announcement that I'd like to get to first off here. And that comes from the author of Hydra's Wake. Hydra's Wake. For those of you who don't know, I have covered that book before. Is kind of a creature feature novel by independently published author. And he says, hey, Baltimore, Maryland bookworms, you can meet the indie author of Hydra's Wake for a book signing at Curmudgeon Books in the Marley Station Mall. And this is going to be taking place December 17th between 12 and 3 p.m. You heard that right. An in-person meet and greet. Who thought of it? Who would have thought? We still do that in this day and age? We meet people IRL. Let me share that screen. He did make a pretty cool looking poster. So this is meet the author of Hydra's Wake. So we have Daniel Jones here. So Hydra's Wake book signing event Saturday, December 17th, 12 to 3 p.m. Meet author Daniel Jones at Curmudgeon Books. There's the address. If I can't really blow that up anymore. Let me see here. There you go. How's that? There he is, ladies and gentlemen, the man himself, Curmudgeon Books. Let's see. What are you guys talking about here? Barry says, restarted my old draft. There you go, Barry. I like to see, do you have any published work? I don't recall. I know you've been around. I've seen you around before on other people's channels and live chats and stuff. I can't recall if you've ever said that you told me that you had your own published work. Let's see. Herman says, right now I'm finishing up formatting for my next book, The Wizard's Stone. Yes. I should be uploading tomorrow or Wednesday. It's 383 pages. So longer than the first installment. Now, is this, Herman, is this a series? Or is this kind of like, is it kind of like a sword and sorcery? I know I have the first book. I do have the first book on my TBR. I haven't read it yet. Standalone, okay. So does this second book, does it have anything to do with the first one? Sword and sorcery-ish. Okay. Still unpublished. Well, pay attention, Barry. We might have something that might get your attention here. So before I get into that, let me just say I do have a couple things here, a couple opportunities for you guys who are involved in the scene. And if you're already involved, great. If you want to spread the word, I would appreciate that personally, actually. But let me get the. So the first one is the Discord. I recently this year I just launched the LFLR network on Discord. Basically, just wanted to do like a one-stop shop or just a central hub, if you will, for a way for me to connect with other creators and share what's going on with the Live Free Leverage brand. So as you can see, the link is always in the description down below. It's a free invite. You just join. There's no expectations of you. I don't expect you to check in daily. You don't have to engage in small talk or anything like that if you don't want to. If you just want to use it as a resource, I mostly started it as a resource. I want for other creators, my ability to connect, with other creators. And you can share your books, your blogs, videos. If you are an indie label and you have submission calls for projects and you're looking for writers, you can share that. You're in the comic books corner of YouTube, or you have any kind of Kickstarter, Indiegogo crowdfunding projects, you can share links to that as well. If you're in the Booktube realm of YouTube and you got reading events, or you do book clubs, you run a book club or anything like that, you can share all that stuff on the Discord. So just you're doing yourself a favor if you join the Discord. Like I say, no expectations. You don't have to check in daily or anything like that. If you want it, because I know that the reason why I create it is I know that not everybody has Facebook. Not everybody does Twitter, and which is understandable. So if you don't really care about getting all up involved in social media and keeping tabs on people on social media and following people and this and that, the Discord is kind of like a little hub, a little, private kind of spot where you can just go share your links with me, and it gives me stuff that I can then in turn bring to the live stream and talk about. So it's kind of like a you help me help you kind of situation as far as that goes. Are you going to write a story about it, Barry? So in regard to that, Herman says, it doesn't have a direct connection to the first book. However, all my books will be loosely connected to one another and in the same literary world. All right. That's cool. So basically, like all taking place within the same universe. That it is. I find it entertaining. So another opportunity. This is a side project I have here called the Storyteller Society. Still accepting submissions. We're looking for flash fiction. So more specifically, this is work that is between 500, as little as 500 words and upwards to about 2,000 words. So flash fiction, if you guys want to expand your creative portfolio, this is an opportunity for you to become a published, to get some more published work out there. You would be working with me through the LFLR network. Like I say, this is a side project that I launched earlier this year, just basically as another way of kind of like leaving a door open, if you will. I try to encourage other people who are involved in the indie market to kind of leave a door open, if you will. Like I understand that people want to make the market aware of their own work, and it's hard. It is very difficult to do marketing, your own marketing and advertising without, losing an arm and a leg, as far as like if you're paying for it. So this is just like, I try to encourage other indie creators out there, and it's kind of like a community building type of opportunity where I leave a door open to you guys, and this is an opportunity for you guys to work with me. And if you want to submit a piece of flash fiction, and if it is approved, then it will be published on my website, where it will stay published, and you can access free of charge at any time, 24/7. And I will handle the marketing after the fact. And this is something that I will continue to develop into the future. So it's kind of like, it's kind of like when creators do this for each other and they offer these little opportunities, like it's not a big deal for me in the sense of adding a lot of work, at least not yet, onto my plate. If it becomes a lot of work for me, then it may change in the future in terms of it may become an invite only type of thing. In other words, it won't be an open call or open submissions. So as of right now, it's still open submission. So if you guys want to get involved, now's the time. You can get in on the ground floor as far as that goes. And you will get your own room, if you will, at what I have dubbed the Hotel del SS, where people can access all the contributions that you've made to the Storyteller Society. And also there may be some third-party links to your own websites, blogs, Amazon author page, what have you. Or if you just want to share a link tree, that's also another option. So just a little way. It's kind of like, my way, like I say, leaving a door open for other people to kind of step in, say, hey, I'm so-and-so. This is what I write. You want to check it out. Maybe this is something you might be interested in publishing on your website. And also, this is a non-exclusive agreement. Okay, there's no contracts involved. It's just a non-exclusive agreement, meaning if you have your own blog and you want to submit something that you've already had published on your own blog, so long as you own the right to the work and you have the ability to grant me permission to republish it through my blog, that's acceptable as well. All right, so speaking of stories, let's get into the next segment, which is reading time. We have a double feature tonight. So double feature tonight. reading time. So if you guys, this is where if you guys want to contribute something to the show directly, like I say, you can share it on the Discord, and this is where I would read it live on the air. And tonight, I did receive permission to read the first episode, a piece of serialized fiction entitled The Time Tomb by R. St. Clair. Some of you may be familiar with that name. She does run a Booktube, Authortube channel here on YouTube titled Regina's Haunted Library. All right, so let's get into this. So the Time Tomb. Let's read the blurb. Time heals all wounds. My crush on Miles Niederman, a high school physics genius, leads me to a dark cemetery vault that conceals an even darker secret. A doorway to another time. Will Miles' curiosity about time travel provoke him to explore worlds from which he has little chance of returning? And am I crazy enough to follow him? Clues to the mystery included at the end of each episode. Digital art by Amaranta Gonzalez. Photography by Kathleen Tarawiti. See, we have some tags here. Time travel, sci-fi, science fiction, sci-fi, teen, young adult, space exploration, high school, romance. All right. So this is episode 1, A Missing Dove. Miles Niederman looked as nerdy as his name suggests, but that didn't stop me from writing his name over and over again in my English notebook when I should be studying for my Beowulf exam. Did I mention Miles attends graduate level physics classes at the University of Virginia after school at age 16? Miles, I light up every time I'm around you. Unfortunately, the only time I ever saw Miles light up beyond his usual grim concentration was when he had a eureka moment during a quantum physics experiment involving ultraviolet light beams, and also whenever he looked at Juniper Coleridge. Juniper. What can I say about a girl who's so perfect that even a minor personality flaw, bad at math, added to her charm? On this particular day, it feels like eons ago now, I was watching oscillating light beams reflect off Miles' safety goggles when Juniper raced into the physics lab, dark curls bouncing around her smooth oval face. Tears filled the corners of her big brown eyes. Miles, I need your help, she gasped between deep emotional breaths. Her ample chest heaved beneath the stripes of her tight t-shirt. I can't blame it on the male gaze, Regina. I noticed she was clutching a hot pink flyer in her hand. the exact same flyer I had presented to Miles just 10 minutes previously. "A 5-year-old girl is missing," I had told him. "The student council's organization organizing a search party. Want to join the search for this kid? I mean, it's a nice day and all." Miles hadn't even looked up from his laser light show when he smirked and replied, "Why would I want to do that?" It's my cousin who's missing, guys," Juniper said, her bubblegum-colored lips trembling. "I'm on it," said Miles. Uh-oh. "I'm on it," said Miles, tossing goggles aside and shucking off his lab coat. He flipped off the oscillator. It buzzed out a slow death. "Hey, wait for me," I yelled, chasing after them. "Way to invite yourself. My name is Zoe Pitcairn. Before you get too excited about my illustrious surname, as some always do, just let me state for the record that whatever fortune, not to mention odd history, that family may possess, my mother and I inherited none of it from my deadbeat dad who left when I was 2. The oddest part, I confess, may have gotten into my genetic code. I'm what you might call the creative type. My interests are art, music, dyeing my pixie haircut a new color every full moon, and Miles." I'm getting the obsessive girlfriend vibes here, except she's not even his girlfriend. That would make her a stalker. But a little bit of a write-off because she's a teen, I'm assuming, or young adult. But you probably guessed that already. I'm also quite petite, which is why I had to run. I don't know how I feel. How do you guys feel about breaking the fourth wall? Are you into it? I'm not really huge on the whole fourth wall breaking thing, but we'll keep it rocking. I want to see where it goes. But you probably guessed that already. I'm also quite petite, which is why I had to run after gangly Miles and Juniper with her model proportioned strides. By the time I caught up with them in the parking lot, I was out of breath, and Miles was already holding the door of his '65 Mustang, electric blue paint job glimmering in the late summer sunshine, open for Juniper. Okay, I neglected to mention Miles' third passion, his car. Where does that leave me? In the back seat, apparently. I squeezed in, grateful that my friends hadn't left me behind. "When did she disappear?" Miles asked Juniper as he veered out of the school parking lot past a line of late buses. I rolled up the window to avoid a cloud of toxic exhaust fumes. How Miles got this dinosaur to pass emissions, I'll never know. The back seat was not only cramped, but also hot. I focused on the top of Miles' head, that disobedient thatch of black locks he always pushed from his face to settle my queasy stomach. "Yesterday," said Juniper with a worried sigh. Dove's only 5. She was just playing in the backyard. My cousin, Lydia, was supposed to be watching her, but Lydia got distracted by something. She went into the house for like 2 seconds. When she came back outside, a sob conquered her words." I do like how Regina is narrating this, though. Miles' right hand, or I should say the main character, Miles' right hand traveled from the gear shift to Juniper's denim-clad thigh. Uh-oh. And gave it a little pat. "Lydia's so upset. She blames herself, and it'll be okay," he said. "The park's on the left," I interrupted. "I know," Miles said irritably. His hand bounced back to the steering wheel. I don't know what I'd do without you, Miles. Juniper's perfect profile cut into the space between the car's bucket seats. She inclined her head to include me in her soft brown gaze. You too, Zoe. Who, me? Does someone as pretty, as popular as Juniper Coleridge really know my name? Sure, no problem, I said coolly. The park is only a block away from my cousin's house, Juniper continued. The police think she might have wandered off there. Sounds like a logical assumption, said Miles, rather fawningly. As soon as Miles pulled into the lot of Wittenberg Park, Juniper unhooked her seatbelt. The passenger door swung open before the car came to a complete stop, and she hopped out. He killed the engine, jammed the stick shift into gear, and left the car parked at an odd angle to run after her, leaving me alone to climb out. I joined them at the edge of the crowd of volunteers just as a police officer was instructing the group on how to conduct the search. If you find anything, stop. Use your whistle. He held up an orange plastic whistle the community organizer had provided the volunteers along with walking sticks to poke through the tall weeds. All right, the officer barked, taking his job way too seriously, I thought. Way too seriously? He's looking for a missing person here. Let's commence. He blew his whistle, and all the volunteers, roughly 100 altogether, entered the park en masse, crossed the creek 3 abreast along the narrow walkway, and then fanned out through the densely forested park in all directions. I can't imagine Dove walking this far, said Juniper softly. A dimple of worry dotted her pert chin. I like the descriptions here. I can really see that. Miles looked at her sympathetically, but didn't say anything. As we climbed a hill along the dirt hiking trail, punctuated with small gray boulders, I kept my thoughts to myself, dark thoughts, like the poor kid probably got into a car with some pervert. I couldn't follow that line of thinking too far without feeling queasy again. Juniper paused at the crest of the hill. Leaning her hand against a tree trunk to catch her breath, she said, "There's an old cemetery over there." She pointed a neatly manicured finger at the twisted iron fence, half consumed by weeds and vines. Very good world building here. Really creating a visual for this setting. Definitely no White Room syndrome here. One of my other cousins loves to scare us with stories about that place. It was part of the original Witten estate, you know. That's right, said Miles, his face intense as he swatted away a coil of gnats. The Witten family owned coal mines in this area. That's how they made their fortune. Yeah, said Juniper with a smirk. There's a smirk! On the backs of poor people. Jacob Witten was also a major donor to UVA. I piped up. The report I had done on the local history for a school project still lingered somewhere intact in my brain. Sure, said Miles, his eyes brightening. The physics building is named after him. I never made that connection before. He rubbed his chin. Could Miles possibly be admitting he doesn't know something? Probably because you're so busy staring at lasers to notice. I shouldered through the small space between them. Come on, let's check it out. I cast an over-shoulder look at Juniper. Maybe Dove was intrigued by your cousin's story and decided to see for herself. I doubt it, Juniper said with a deep sigh. It can't hurt to look, said Miles. The fluorescent orange whistle around his neck swung as he caught up with me. Although he wouldn't admit it, I could tell from the stars in his eyes that the subject of Jacob Witten had piqued his interest. Miles hopped effortlessly over the fence, flaming the envy I always felt for boys at those moments. He turned with a gallant gesture to help Juniper over the obstacle. Hey, what about me? I yelled after they both took off, hand in hand, through the tall weeds toward the cemetery. Aw. Miles ran back to get me. Screw him for looking so annoyed about it. I hooked one foot on the cross rail, darting a cautious look down at the rusted spikes pointing precariously at my crotch, then swung my other leg over. There you go, he huffed as he helped cushion my landing. I felt a spark of energy when he gripped my waist. Did he feel it too? Unfortunately, I think that is doubtful. And there it is, episode 1. So the clues. Perhaps this Witten fellow is the clue. This Jacob Witten fellow is one of the clues that I believe Regina was alluding to, that she gives at the end of each episode. Kind of works it in there. I don't know, just because it seems like it's kind of worked in there a little bit nonchalantly. So I think it might play a pivotal role in the story in later episodes. That's my take on it, at least. So thank you, Regina, for giving me permission to share that on the live stream. And now, I actually don't have a banner because it was just earlier this morning. Let's see what we had here. So I do have a video to share, and this is actually a reading from, this is actually a short story reading by Sam from Greener Side of Sam. She uploaded on her channel, and she did give me permission to share on the live stream. And we're going to have a look at that. Let me just get this banner here real quick. All right, and this is her story, Blue Raspberry, an original short story by Samantha Harris via her YouTube channel, Greener Side of Sam. Of course, I will be tagging her channel in post-production down below. So if you guys would like to check out her channel and see what else she talks about, I know that she enjoys analyzing literature, fine literature, if you will. One of her favorite authors is Franz Kafka, if I am not mistaken. Sam is here in the chat. Sam, yes. And I will say this also. I'll share a little bit about what you had talked about during your live stream, because I was on her channel. It was earlier this morning or last night. She was doing a live stream, and she does live streams every now and then. We were talking about this work a little bit, and so I'll talk a little bit about it after we listen to it. We're going to listen to the work. We're going to go into it blind. I have not listened to this. Production at all yet. So this is a first time for me as well. If you guys haven't heard this, so let's get right into it. And Sam, since I have you here, if you would like to add any commentary, any backstory, anything about it whatsoever, feel free. Okay.
Blue raspberry. What are you doing? 7 is a significant year. Children stop asking why just because they heard their parents say the word. At 7, the why becomes a reason on top of those 3 letters. What are you doing? She asked again. Her mouth was blue from the slushy held up by little hands. Did you know there are blue raspberries? I never knew. Miss Myra at the station told me so. She had her pink cowboy boots on, like she always did, even in the summer heat. Mama said snakes will bite my toes if I wear sandals, but I walk barefoot when she's not looking, and the stickers are worse. Her bracelet was coral and blue. 3 beads were in the middle that read P plus M. It stands for Poppy and Milk. Milk is my best friend. It's not his real name. Nah, he's lactose tolerance. We aren't friends anymore, 'cause I went into the pantry to get a roll-up, and Milk's mama was kissing a pool boy. Milk told me a pool boy is someone who gives his mama swimming lessons, but the water stops at her ankles. And she told my mama that I hit Milk, and now we can't play. The sun was setting behind Poppy's head. A gas station with flickering lights was to the side. It was almost closing time, which meant it was almost time to pour the gas. He had to get rid of Poppy. But the poor girl thought that raspberries were blue. Go home, Poppy, is what he should have said. But instead he said, I'm pouring gas. What are you doing, Poppy? Mama had to work again, so she dropped me off at the station. Miss Myra says I can eat whatever I want. When was the last time you ate a veggie, Poppy? There was no reason to be concerned about the girl. Her life was already mapped out for her in this 504 population town. And even if it wasn't a town like that, even if she lived in Scottsdale, Arizona, Poppy's life would still burn up, eventually. It was quicker this way, like ripping off a Band-Aid and bleeding out. 4th of July, 'cause I was bad. Poppy put her empty drink down. Can I have a drink of that? The green in his eyes gleamed in the bloodshot white. You could. But then what would it make me? What would that make him? His friends were probably already done circling the town with gas too. But it was 94 degrees Fahrenheit, and it was already 10 p.m. No one would know. My mama drinks that too, Poppy said. Makes her sick. Why are you pouring the gas? Or it cured her from the sickness, he thought. It did, though. The man drank a whole bottle right after he cut the cords of the fire truck. The buzz never made him forget, but it did shape the memory into a dream. Why would you want to drink if you know it makes your mama sick? She shrugged. So I can stop wondering what it tastes like. Why are you pouring the gas? Go home, Poppy, is what the man should have said. But instead he said, I want to get out of this town. Why? Just shut up and go home, Poppy, is what he should have said. But he was too drunk at this point to care. I think this town killed me. You don't look dead. Poppy didn't stutter. She didn't know how to yet. She was just popping off questions like there was no consequence in the answer. Why don't you just leave? The road's right there. She pointed to the long stretch of dirt. There was only one way out and one way in by car. 40 miles to the nearest town, though it was evident no one would be coming through that road for quite some time. There were 10 cars in that town, well, 9 since the fire truck incident, but that was past. It didn't matter now. All that mattered was getting rid of Poppy and lighting the gas. There was a car waiting for him a mile away, one that didn't belong to the town. Most people couldn't afford a car like that. One that was capable of carrying a man away without sputtering and breaking down, only to have the one tow truck in town bring it back to a place he's supposed to appreciate, because the city's not like this. The city is full of concrete slabs that people blend into. No sense of community, only conformity. But they live the high life where tacos and Chinese and samosas are right down the road. Not that he would know what a samosa tastes like. The city folk with all their rules and uppity standards of living. They expand the architecture and suck all the water from the desert to fill their fancy bathtubs. I want one of those tubs that stand up on brass legs. A marble floor would be nice too. It was better than waiting a week to wash, only to get dirty an hour later from the dust forming in the tan sky. The man began walking up the hill, while Poppy followed. When was the last time you had a shower, Poppy? The dirt was caked on her face and arms and hands, like a lizard who's baked in the sun and can't seem to get clean no matter how much water you give it. The lizard is only dirt that moves. Poppy thought for a moment. It hasn't rained for a while now. You know, Poppy, the man said, there's a place where it rains every day, whenever you want it to. He didn't know why he told her that. She already knew too much. He had to get rid of her. I like the rain, she said. It makes me forget the sun's so hot. It was getting dark. A snake slithered out from behind a rock to greet the night, and Poppy grabbed a flashlight from her pocket. She shined it on her feet and then under her chin. She bared her teeth at the snake. They were blue, sticky, and rotting, but she laughed anyway when the snake retreated. Milk taught me how to do that. Smile at a snake before it smiles at you, and it'll run away. Why do you think that is? The man found himself asking out loud, but he already knew. 'Cause snakes only smile when they're hungry. I watched one smile before he ate a mouse. Then his tummy was big and he stopped. When you smile back at them, they stop being hungry. The man felt his hand loosen on his bottle. He knew how to get rid of Poppy. Here, take a drink. Take a couple. Your mama won't know. This one is sweet. It feels like when it rains. Poppy looked at it for a moment, unsure, because why would something that makes her mother sick feel like when it rains after a drought? But she was still thirsty, even after the slushie. She grabbed it. Mr. Allen, they got water in the slushie machine, but I only take a bath when it rains. She took a drink and coughed it up. Mr. Allen watched the twinkle in her eyes drain out. He didn't think she would take another drink, but she did. That's enough. He took the bottle from her, feeling guilty. But that feeling would go away soon, because he was going to get rid of Poppy. They walked to the top of a hill that overlooked the little town. Poppy had to sit down. Her mama told her not to because the scorpions might bite her fingers. But they had already dried up anyway, nails whittled away from wondering if she was going to eat some bread or just some crackers that day. Poppy? Yeah, Mr. Allen? They tell you that raspberries are blue because they want you to rot your teeth. And once that's done, it eats up your brain too, and then your teeth fall out. You can't do nothing about it though, 'cause that's the only thing that tastes sweet in this town. Mr. Allen heard howling from the other corners of town. He howled back. There was just enough alcohol left in his bottle, so he stuck in a rag and lit his match. Poppy watched the bottle light up, and she could see his bloodshot eyes watering. Mr. Allen threw the bottle down the hill, and the town lit up the sky in all four corners. Come on, Poppy. He picked her up and began to carry her in the opposite direction down the long road. It was time to get rid of Poppy. She smiled at the flames, which seemed to get bigger and smaller all at once. Before Mr. Allen walked more than a fourth of a mile, she had fallen asleep to the smell of burning sand and a bitter taste in her mouth. When he reached the mile mark, a car was waiting for him, one with tinted windows that lowered slowly to reveal a pair of eyes. "You were supposed to come alone," they said. "I need to get rid of her," Mr. Allen replied. "She's asleep. Won't remember a thing in the morning. If she goes, you don't." "I know." Mr. Allen heard a laugh. "I don't understand. You said you would do anything to get out of this town." "I know. But I had to get rid of Poppy." He could feel his feet molding to the dirt. Mr. Allen walked back toward the flames. As the car drove away, not looking back, only smiling at the place that consumed him. No one would come. He knew that. But he had to get rid of Poppy. The blue raspberries had already rotted her teeth. The next week, after everything was swept up, a sign was put in near the road, leading into that old town. It read, "Desert Rain Resort."
There we go. Now, let me just preface this. If there's anything you want to say about it, Sam, go ahead and share. Let's see what you guys are saying. Yeah, thanks, Herman. All right, good. All right, so this is what I understood. So you want to chime in, Sam? You can chime in. So here's a little thing. I looked at this. I did not listen to the short story ahead of time before this. This was my first playthrough. Now, it definitely sounds like it's one of those types of stories because with short, especially with short stories, it's often there's things that are going on beneath the surface. It definitely feels like there are things going on beneath the surface. It's not like you're telling the story in such a way where you're saying this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened, like a series of events, as much as it's like, in other words, not so much as it's like a plot driven. I was definitely getting more of at least at first, it seems like it's more of like a stream of consciousness type of short story that kind of morphs into the shape of like a narrative prose near the end. And I do recall what you had said during your live stream when we were talking about this a little bit, Sam, that you were saying that your inspiration for this story was when you were on the road and you were traveling between towns. And what kind of inspired this story was the fact that you'd be on the road and you'd drive through a town, and then it may be miles and miles before you hit the next town. So it was the thought of like what the lives of these people who choose to settle in these small towns what is like. A little bit more on that in just a second. So what you say here? She said, Sam says, yeah, just the backstory. Some of my family lives in Arizona, and we would pass tiny towns in between cities, and it gave me the setting. All right. So let me talk about. So we talk about the setting. Let's just I can't help but make a note on the atmosphere of this. So between the music, the production quality, I like the production quality on it quite a bit, especially with that music in the background. But I think that it's really just accentuating that kind of that there's like this melancholic kind of undertone to it. So there's like clearly a sadness to surrounding this story. The POV I did catch was from at least at first. There's a little bit of a POV shift in this. So it starts out as like kind of like first person, little girl. The little girl's name is Poppy, and then it kind of shifts into a third person perspective near the ending of the story as it begins to kind of take shape, a narrative shape, with this kind of like something's going on with this Mr. Allen guy. That's the part that I was curious about. Was he setting the town on fire? Is that what I was gathering from that? Like he was just like, he was, for whatever reason, he was just done with that place. Like definitely getting a sense of despair there. This is a troubled soul. And this Poppy character, is it supposed to be like, it's clear that there's, and I know that you said, you did mention that you did not write this story with any intended meaning. So you kind of just went into the story and it was completely pantsed. It was just kind of like, definitely just something that you were like a stream of consciousness just coming off of the top and just going with it. So kind of had a lyrical quality to it, almost poetic. I couldn't help but notice, like, maybe if it was a subconscious thing, my interpretation is that perhaps the Allen guy wants to get Poppy out of this small town because of what this place is doing to this little girl. For instance, the reason why I kind of pick up on that, or my interpretation of that, is the focus on her teeth. Like, yeah, she's having the slushies and her teeth are rotting and she's just a little girl. And it's almost like she is like, I don't know, like her youth, like he wants better for her. Like, it's almost like this place is like corrupting her youth in a way, or at least that seems like that could be a possibility of his perspective. But again, the fire thing, is he a psycho? Is he setting the town ablaze? But yeah, thank you for letting me share that. Let's see. Yes, Mr. Allen is not a good person. He wants to get out of the town so bad that he is willing to set it on fire for a chance to get out. But instead, he lets her go. Interesting. A little play on a little bit of adding a layer of moral quandary, if you will. So that's the live stream for me this week, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you had some fun, and I hope that you discovered something new. And I will be back here for you next week, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 6 p.m. Pacific. In the meantime, you can get in contact with me through any of my social medias, and I will be I'll be live. I mean, I'll be tuning in or tune into the channel tomorrow. You can vote for which one of those 4 books had the most text appeal, and I'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.